Hey guys, um, I'm back after a extended layoff. I took a little bit of a hiatus to focus on school and work, but gonna get back to the routine. Posting videos before each fight card. A little bit. I have to get more on a constant schedule. I'm either gonna post them on Wednesdays or Thursdays before the card, but definitely gonna get back to the more constant schedule of putting out a video every time there's a card. Like I said, I just been busy with work and school, but I think I picked a great card to come back for. I was gonna actually wait for the Habib McGregor card, but I said, you know what, I'm not doing anything this week. Might as well put this video out. This is a pretty good card. Good fights littered throughout the entire card. You have some good fights on the early prelims, on the FS1 prelims, and of course on the main card. But I like to go into. I'm more of a optimist. I like to think that every fight has the possibility to be entertaining, and even if it's names you don't recognize, I always hope for the best. Anyways, enough of my rant. Let's get right into the breakdowns and predictions. So, starting on the FX prelims, we're going to look at Jimmie Rivera versus John Dodson. Now, I think this is one of, I don't want to call it one of the fairer matchups, but definitely, I guess I would consider it fair because, both of these guys are on the shorter side of the spectrum, with Dodson being 5'3", Rivera being 5'4". So, I think it would be interesting to see these guys kind of fight at their height. I mean, John Dodson has fought John Lineker and Demetrius Johnson, who are all around kind of the same height. But I always like it when the two shorter guys go at it. I think it's a little bit comical almost. Anyways, let's start breaking it down. So let's talk about Jimmie Rivera first. While he doesn't have a high finish rate, he does have good power in his hands. The potential to stun his opponents and really sting them from the outside. He does have great takedown defense. He's actually defended 100% of his takedowns attempted against him, which is insane. Before the fight against Marlon Moraes, where he was viciously knocked out in 30 seconds, he was unbeaten in over 10 years, which to go unbeaten for an extended amount of time in mixed martial arts, let alone the UFC, is an insane task. This is a quick turnaround fight for him. The Moraes knockout happened only a few months ago, I believe, and you always have to kind of wait for the person's first fight after taking a brutal knockout loss to see how they'll bounce back from it, if they'll change up their style. But I don't think it should affect him too much. Taking a fight on short. I mean, if you look at Frankie Edgar, got knocked out, finished for the first time ever by Brian Ortega, and then bounced back and won a decisive decision over Cub Swanson. But about his fighting style, he's definitely leans to more of a striker. He has really good boxing. He's calm and composed inside the octagon. Kind of likes to pick his shots here and there. Doesn't really have too much of a blitzing or running in style. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you have John Dodson, who also suffered a loss to Moraes while it was a decision, I believe. He also has power in his hands. He has a higher finish rate than Jimmie Rivera. And the one thing that I really like to talk about here is John Dodson's speed. For being 5'3", he has insanely fast hands and kicks. Has a little bit of a faster blitzing style than Rivera. And apart from that, he's also never been knocked out in his MMA career. But when you think about it, I tend to lean more to Jimmie Rivera in this fight. I think he's going to be looking to claim that win back from Moraes and just kind of get back on his pedestal and put everything he has into this fight. I think Dodson's going to get caught blitzing in a little bit. Rivera's going to sting him, and Dodson's kind of going to slow down during the fight. I don't really see this ending in a finish, so I'm going to give this fight to Jimmie Rivera by decision. So the next fight we're going to look at is Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann. This is an interesting prospect versus a more well-established fighter, someone like Aljo, who's been around for a while, versus Cody Stamann, who's kind of new to the UFC, kind of coming up in the rankings now, has won 3 fights in a row inside the promotion. Aljo, he's a very hit-and-run striker. He likes to kind of clash in the center and then work his way around, picking his shots from the outside. But where he really shines is in his wrestling. I believe he's one of the best wrestlers in the division and one of the most underrated fighters in the division. Um, Whenever he takes someone down, he almost always gets to their back, and even if he's not able to submit them, he does get a lot of control time out of that. While on the other hand, Cody Stamann, he, like I said, he's an up and coming prospect. He, beat Tom Duquesnoy, who is another very highly looked upon prospect. Cody Stamann has very high fight IQ. I've noticed this in his last few fights, that he's able to recognize what he has to do to beat his opponents inside that first round. So while all of his fights inside the UFC have gone, the distance, he's won them by decision. He recognizes his opponent's flaws and what he has to do within that first round. And of course he probably game plans during the fight camp with his head coach or whatever. But he knows, like I said, he knows how to beat his opponents, and he has a very cumulative striking fighting style, which means he doesn't look for the knockout blows, but he does look to wear his opponents down over time. He likes to wear his opponents down with the strikes and then eventually lead into takedowns. And on the same time, he does have great takedown defense. However, I don't think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Aljamain Sterling, and I believe Aljo is going to be able to take him down fairly easily, and I believe he's actually going to finish this fight. Aljo, probably not by strikes or ground and pound, but I do see him getting a submission, possibly a rear naked choke in the second or third round. So I'm going to go with Aljamain by a second round submission. So the next fight we're going to look at is Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Niko Price. This is a sleeper fight on the card, I believe. I think a lot of people are overlooking this, especially the more casual fans. They're not really paying much attention to it. However, this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most, because these are two, up and coming prospects, and it's a term you throw around a lot. But these are two up and coming prospects inside the UFC who are really looking to make a name for themselves. Al Hassan is a very dangerous power striker. He has insane power in his hands. Every win inside the UFC he's had has been a finish inside of one round, which is crazy to think of someone with, that much power in his hands. If you look at the two fights against Hamasi, I did think the first fight was a little bit of a early stoppage. Hamasi seemed to still be there, but that second fight there was no arguing that he landed that uppercut flush and Hamasi was out. He, like I said, he tends to focus on the striking. While on the other side, Niko Price is more well-rounded. He is a good striker, but he's not as dangerous as Al Hassan. I think where he shines the most is in his ground game. He has very unique and unorthodox grappling and ground game. If you look at his last fight against Randy Brown, that was a fantastic performance. He, took him down, put him in a weird position, and then knocked him out with hammer fists from the bottom, which is something you rarely ever see in the UFC. Especially that position where he was kind of holding his chin up with his foot and trapping him against the cage, and then just raining those hammer fists down. And some of the most intelligent grappling I've ever seen inside the UFC. However, I don't believe he's going to be able to take Al Hassan down. I believe that he will get caught going for an early takedown, and I see this ending in the first round with Al Hassan knocking him out clean. So the next fight we're going to talk about is Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Brandon Davis. Now, Zabit was originally supposed to fight Yair, but Yair had to pull out due to an injury, which, everyone's saying, he's ducking Zabit. Obviously he is, but even if it's like this tiniest of injuries, that's not a fight you want to go into less than 100%. You're just asking for trouble if you don't go into a fight against Zabit where you're not at your best. So Zabit is a phenomenal, phenomenal fighter. We've seen he's only had a few fights inside of the UFC, but already has established himself as on another level from a lot of the guys, not only in his division, but in the promotion as well. He has very, very clean, crisp, unique, and unorthodox striking. He can land spinning kicks, showtime kicks, has fantastic takedowns, can land an outside trip like it's nothing. And the only area we really haven't seen is his jujitsu. We haven't seen how good he is against a high level jujitsu practitioner, which I wouldn't say that's Brandon Davis, but he has kind of established that he does have a decent ground game, at least to get back up to his feet. Um, we haven't really seen him go on the offensive as much, but like continuing to talk about Davis, he's taking this fight on short notice, and he's really not the best fighter on the roster. I mean, he has a 9-4 record, but listen, you can't ever rule a fighter out completely, and I'm going to contradict myself when I break down the next fight, but there's always a possibility for upset. However, I don't see it happening here. I really don't even see this being a close fight. I think Zabit is going to coast to it. Clear decision victory. Just a absolutely dominant performance. Or even possibly a late stoppage. But I'm definitely going to give this fight to Zabit. Yeah, remember how I just said never rule out the chance of an upset or the possibility of a fighter winning? Yeah, I'm going to completely contradict myself here in the Nico Montano versus Valentina Shevchenko. I don't even think it's going to be a close fight. I think Valentina Shevchenko is just going to demolish Nico Montano. If this isn't, a late finish, maybe like third or fourth round by some vicious ground and pound from Shevchenko, it's going to be an easy decision for her. I really don't want to waste too much time on this fight. I think it's going to be easy victory for Shevchenko. And finally, we get to the long-awaited welterweight title match between Tyron Woodley and the British phenom Darren Till. Now, this is a fight I've been looking forward to a while. I've wanted to, since Darren Till got that brutal stoppage over Cowboy Cerrone, I've wanted to see him fight everyone and anyone in the division. I, wanted to see him fight Mike Perry, Ponzinibbio, Wonderboy, Maya, Covington, Usman, and of course I want to see him fight Woodley. And finally we get to see him in this high pressure, high stakes fight against the champ. This, however, was the hardest fight for me to pick of all the fights on the card. If you look at Woodley, he's a great wrestler with some real knockout power. He got that brutal knockout over Robbie Lawler to win the title, and on his route to the title, he was just knocking everyone out. I mean, he's leaving a trail of bodies, behind him. But ever since he's won the belt, he's become more of a boring fighter. And to see what I mean, just watch his fights against Damian Maia and the second fight against Wonderboy. He fights smart, of course, because once you're the champion, you don't want to lose that belt. You really don't care how the people see you. You just want that belt. You want that status. So you become a little bit of a safer fighter. And when you become safer, you become more boring. You just kind of stick to what you know and what you know will win. And in Woodley's case, it's the wrestling. He sticks to taking his opponents down or stuffing their takedown attempts and landing shots from the outside. He's only been knocked out once in his career, which is Darren Till's strong suit. Darren Till has insane striking. He's undefeated. He has that nice long reach and those powerful left counters. He catches his opponents coming in with that left hand and just puts them either down or out. If you look at some of his early fights, especially in Brazil, he was just putting everyone out with that left hand. However, in the UFC, he's been more prone to knocking them down, and he hasn't lost that knockout power. It's just harder to catch guys at this professional level. But that left hand is almost right from Conor McGregor. That just beautiful left counter that he can land square across the chin and just stun his opponents very badly. I mean, he's got a knockdown in almost all of his last fights. But his thing is he's also willing to fight smart. You saw that in the Wonder Boy fight. He, he almost he didn't turn it into the point fight, but he went along with it. He realized he couldn't exchange first on Wonder Boy, so he had to kind of hold off there, and it ended up turning into a little bit of a boring point fight between the two of them. And actually, I'll get into more of that in a second. I still want to talk about Till. He's untested against a really high level wrestler like Woodley. I believe he does have a little bit of an underrated ground game. You saw that in his first fight in the UFC. He's able to stuff takedown attempts, and as a generally high takedown defense. But like I said, he hasn't really faced too many high level wrestlers like Woodley. Um, he is able to remain on his feet and kind of stay in the striking exchanges, which is where he's more comfortable. But let's talk about the fight in general for a second. This has the potential to be a very exciting back and forth battle or a boring point fight. It really depends on how Woodley wants to fight. If he wants to fight with that fast blitzing style he used to fight with, then I believe Till's going to KO him. Till's going to catch him on a blitz. Woodley has a very fast blitzing style, and I believe Till's going to catch him with that left and put him down. But if Woodley wants to make this a slow, grueling, safe fight for him, he's gonna try to take Darren Till down. And once he's there, he's gonna try to keep him there. Get that control time. Get that easy kind of win for him. But it's like I said, the winner of this fight depends on who implements their game more, which is what can be said for the Conor and Khabib fight, which I will go over closer to when that card comes out. So yeah, if Woodley can implement his game and get those takedowns, he should coast to a decision. But if Till can catch him with I think if Till can catch him with just one left hand, he can put him out. And like Matt Serra says, sometimes you just got to pick with your heart. Sometimes, you don't really want to. Not that you don't want to think about it too much, but you just have like this feeling. And I have to say, I have this feeling that Till is going to that Woodley's going to get frustrated early in the fight. Till's going to back him up against the cage. He's going to come out with the blitz, and Till's going to hit him with that big left hand and put him out. But we'll see this weekend. My final prediction is going to be Till by an early knockout. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Sorry again for the long break I took and kind of not saying anything for a while, but it looks like I'm back now. I'm definitely gonna get to more of a routine again and start posting these videos before each of the fight cards. So yeah, like I said, I might even start posting more like videos about potential fights. And oh yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. The results and future matchups videos are gonna have to kind of be put on hold for a little bit. Because using UFC clips in your videos is an easy way to get flagged for copyright infringement. So I think I'll stick to future matchups and kind of lean away from the results, at least until I figure out a better way to do it. But yeah, like I said, that's gonna be it for this video. So let me know what videos you guys want to see in the future. Leave some comments discussing what you thought of my picks, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. That's about it. Bye. See ya.